he's the one who thought this up and effectually decreed it and ensured it obtained. Because after all, if God isn't the one who has decreed all evil, they would argue, then he isn't sovereign. And that is a doctrine of demons itself. And so what happens is the powers of darkness will come in and they will create a great evil. And then people that are hurting and that need the Savior will look for answers, and they'll have some people pointing them to Christ, but then you'll have other people saying, no, 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 that one up there, he's the one who brought this to pass on you. He's not your Savior. He's the perpetrator. He's not the fireman. He's the arsonist. Or they'll say he's the fireman and the arsonist. But it undermines the safety, the reliability.
God created the creation perfectly good, but he knew when he gave nature its own will, when he gave free will to entities, that evil not only was possible, but would happen. He knew it, but he chose to do it. And therefore, and God is responsible for every evil action that happened because he created it. But he's not the one who does the evil. It's the creation that he gave its own choice apart from God. You see, somebody once said on Friday the 13th, all you got to do to have evil is take the light away. And God is the light. God is holy, being separate from creation. And when he created this creation, he gave it just enough light so that it was able to make a choice for good or for evil. But he wanted to allow evil to happen so he could send Jesus Christ to die on that cross and wrap evil up and bury the evil and have a creation that was, according to his holy standards, run by him and not by itself. If I'm explaining this to you good enough, I hope. In other words, as long as there's a creation that's not God, as long as there's something that's not God, God who is the light, God who is the only source of being pure, the second this creation gets to go its own way, it will go away from God. Even if that, all you have to do to have death is there be no life. God is life. But God has given it enough knowledge, light, so that it can choose to devote itself to God and thereby come back to God and avoid death, eternal death. Or it could choose to go its own way. And that's what evil is. The absence of light. And when you got the absence of light, you have an evil that becomes ever darker. Because without light, evil starts doing things that are bad and becomes worse and worse and worse and worse. And God knew this when he created creation, but he chose to do it. I gotta hope that in the end, everything is going to be redeemed to God, even the devil and his angels. Because then the math adds up. Otherwise, how can God call himself infinite love if there are going to be creatures who are going to be burning forever and ever and ever and ever and ever? With God incompetent, not all-powerful to be able to save even the damned. Not omniscient to have created the creation in such a way that it appears there's eternal damnation with hope, no hope of recovery, but God, hidden beneath the surface, would not find a way. Perhaps God knew it, but he chose to do it. Now, what am I talking about? God, before God created the creation, he knew that if he created a creation a certain way, everything that would ever happen in the eternity. But he chose to do it anyways. And that way, God is responsible for the evil that men would do. when he did not make them do it, he knew they would do it of their own sovereign free choice. And he chose to create the creation anyways. So that's how you solve the quote unquote mystery of the paradox of how God is responsible for all the evil that been do that, but the men are responsible because God is not responsible. God knew if he created the creation in the way he created it, everything that would ever happen, all the evil that men would do, and he still decided to go through with it for his glory. Now the only knowing question I have is, other times God fudges the events to happen in such a way that cause a rape, like David's wives being raped. When the prophet Nathan told him, "I will take your wives, and they shall be raped before your eyes." I gotta hope that this was because he was gonna allow men to do what they were gonna do of their own accord. I have to hope that God would not use circumstances to plant seeds of, hey, I want to rape David's wife. But everything that God ever done and will ever do, God is doing right now, this moment. See, time with God is the eternal now. So he's doing everything he ever did and ever will do right now, this moment. So, it's not that God said, go. I hope it's not anyways, but I've got to think, I got to hope this. Not that God says, oh, I'm going to make you rape that woman. As God knows that if he creates this creation to his glory, these collateral damages would happen. That's right. That's where I got to say it. And if I look middle-aged, I curse